Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to continue on with my kind of catch up of BrewDog beer. So for this one we've got a citrus IPA today, and this guy is called Elvis Juice. I think this one was released sometime around July 2015, and I'm filming this review for you in December while I'm home for Christmas. This guy is a citrus IPA like I said, but it's got blood orange and grapefruit added to the brew, so it should be quite an interesting one for us. I didn't even get to try this guy on tap, so quite looking forward to this one. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual websites are in the description below. That's the BrewDog website, the link to my other BrewDog reviews. There's about 60 or so of them now, so do check those out. And there's all the usual social media things down there, Facebook, Twitter and Untappd. Please follow me on there. Your support would be much appreciated, and if you want to see more BrewDog reviews, do subscribe to the channel, and there's a lot of other interesting things coming out as well, so your support would be much appreciated. But anyway, to tell you about BrewDog. So BrewDog, of course, were founded back in 2007 by James Watt and Martin Dickey, and their first brewery was in the Keswick Industrial Estate in Fraserburgh in the very northeast of Scotland, right on the tip of the monster's nose, as I always like to say. But more recently they've moved to their new and very shiny facility in Ellon, which is a bit closer to the city of Aberdeen where I used to study. But these guys are known for being a very experimental brewery, and particularly for their strong beers as well. They're kind of trademark styles, if you like. They like the Pale Ale and the IPA. That's their kind of flagship style, but they're largely inspired by the American craft brewing renaissance, quite inspired by Stone Brewing Company from California in fact. But they've got several brew pubs throughout the UK. First of these opened in 2009 in Aberdeen. I was actually there on the first night for that, but they've spread through the rest of the UK, and they now have various international sites as well. You're talking Italy, I think in Spain as well, France, Sweden, Norway, I think Finland as well, Japan, Brazil too. There's a whole host of sites, and they're looking to open up a second brewery in Columbus, Ohio in America now. They're actually recruiting for that as I'm filming this video for you. But these guys are the largest independently owned Scottish craft brewery today, and they're still expanding due to their Equity for Punks shareholding program. And this is quite interesting because it allows you, the fans, to basically buy into the brewery, and this helps them fund their kind of infrastructure development, if you like. They were the world's first kind of crowd-funded brewery, so if any of you are studying business, they are actually quite an interesting model to do a case study on. I've read a few things about them, but I need to read it a bit more in depth. But BrewDog have a very, very interesting business model, and they produce some pretty damn good beer as well. So really worth reading about a bit if you do want to find out more about the brewery. So these guys have a core range of beers. They've got about 6 or 7 in the core range. They've got an amplified range as well, which are the higher ABV ones, and of course they produce kind of one-off brews such as this guy every so often. They've got a few kind of cool regular series as well, such as IPA is Dead, the Paradox series, and a few other things as well. So just keep an eye out for these beers. There's always new things going on at BrewDog. So anyway, that's your little bit about BrewDog. As I say, check out the website if you want to hear more about them. But we'll get on to the tasting of this guy now. So I'll just let you have a little quick look at this. This guy is a 6.7% IPA. It tells you on the side what it's hopped with. It's hopped with Amarillo, Simcoe, Centennial and Magnum. Really nice American hops. But you've got a malt base of Extra Pale and Munich, and there's additions of blood orange and grapefruit to the brew there. This is the standard kind of prototype artwork that you get from BrewDog, and there is the regular bottle cap that goes on there. There's a few different colours. There's a darker one and there's a lighter one, a kind of grey colour. But yeah, this one comes in at 6.7%. It's got an original gravity of 1056 and an IBU of 40, 330ml bottle, and I've just told you the malt base and hop base on it. Best before 14th of July 2016. So let's get this open and we'll get on with the tasting then. Oh, there we are. So as you can see, a nice little bit of smoky opening on this guy. There's a wee bit of sediment visible in the bottle here, but we'll see how we get on here. Quite interested to try this one. Since they've added fruit to the brew, I'm expecting this one to have some kind of quite juicy fruit characters to it. Usually when you add fruit to the brew, it gives you this kind of almost juicy character rather than being quite a pungent fruit flavour. So that's always an interesting thing to pick up. But as you can see, this beer has poured a really quite bright, hazy, golden yellow amber colour, if you like. There was a quarter finger of a frothy white head there. It's quite bumpy as well, but that's just going to fade away to become a very thin foamy layer. There's quite a few big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass there, and a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of the head. And you can see, if I put my fingers behind it, there's not too much transparency to it. It is quite a hazy beer and quite opaque. So yeah, quite attractive looking. So we'll give it a smell and see how we get on. Oh yeah, First thing you'll notice about this is the tropical fruits. Tropical fruit is quite prominent in this aroma, and it does smell quite juicy. You can see the head just kind of regenerating itself there. But yeah, there's a lot of tropical fruit coming out of this one. The grapefruit there is quite noticeable, and it's got that typical kind of sour grapefruit smell. But I think the passion fruit's coming out quite a bit. That's, I think, the Simcoe hop that gives you all of these. The Simcoe hop is the one that gives you these more complex tropical fruit notes. There's kind of passion fruit in there as well, I want to say. And there's a bit of the juicier tropical fruits too, maybe mangoes and apricots. I can definitely pick up the apricot. The mango is a little bit more subtle, but I think there's a lot of passion fruit in here and a lot of apricot. And the grapefruit, of course, you can pick up because it's added to the brew. There's a nice orangey citrus in there too. And of course there's blood orange, so it's quite an interesting mix, but usually from the Amarillo hop you will get quite a nice orange aroma, but I think it's more the actual blood orange itself that's coming out of this one. But there's a good kind of floral aromaticity to it as well. That's the Centennial and the Magnum. They'll both give you a nice kind of slightly spicy floral aromatic character there. The Centennial will give you more of a citrusy character, but the Magnum will give you a more spicy aromatic character. And there is a wee bit of pine resin too, but that's very, very subtle. You will get that from Simcoe. But underneath you can smell quite a nice big bready malt base and some biscuit in there as well. And of course the biscuit will come from the Munich malts. But yeah, very nice smelling beer. Not the most pungent one I've come across from BrewDog, but it does smell very, very nice. And the aroma isn't the most important thing. The most important thing, of course, is the taste. So let's get stuck into this beer. So this is the Elvis Juice, one of the prototype beers from BrewDog in 2015. I think released around July probably. So let's get stuck into this guy. So this is Elvis Juice from BrewDog in Ellon in Scotland. Slàinte. Yeah, that's exactly as I thought it was going to be. It's a very juicy IPA, this one. It's quite a wet mouth feel, and it is quite juicy. But as I always say, just when you first taste these beers, just sugar them around your palate a little bit and let your whole palate adjust to these before you start dissecting the flavour. Yeah, that's actually very nice. But like I was saying, when you add fruit to the brew, it gives you this really wet and really quite juicy fruity character. It's nowhere near as pungent as if you're getting the fruity esters from the hops, and you can notice that straight away in this beer. The orange and the grapefruit really come across as quite wet and quite juicy. You can almost taste the orange and grapefruit juice in this beer. Yeah, it's quite interesting that, because you get the fruity juicy characteristics, and just behind it you can pick up the kind of bitterness and the bitter dry estery flavours from the hops. That's quite an interesting quirk about this beer. Yeah, it's quite unusual actually. There's a lot going on with the fruity side of this beer, and of course with it being a citrus IPA, that's exactly what they want. So yeah, in terms of the flavour of this one, I would say the middle of your palate is blanketed just with a very, very light, slightly bready malt base there. It just goes right across the middle of the tongue, and there's a little bit of a kind of biscuity cereal character on top of that, just a little bit of sweetness in there. But yeah, very, very nice. Yeah, that kind of, initially when you drink this beer, you get quite an almost sour character from the juicy aspects of the flavour, and that comes in really quite sharp when you first try the beer, but it smooths out as you start to take a few more gulps of it, and the more hoppy characters really start to come out of this one. But yeah, around the back edges of the palate, it's actually very smooth. In the back corners, that's usually where you pick up things like earthy flavours, a bit of floral aromaticity, but there's not too much of that in this one. It's actually quite smooth on the back corners of the palate. There's a bit of floral aromaticity comes out as you move further forward. There could be just a little bit of pine resin on the front corners of the tongue there, but I'm not picking up much of that. The hoppy character to the sides of the palate on this beer is surprisingly smooth actually, and it's probably the addition of the fruits to the brew that's done that. yeah, the fruity character really spreads around the back sides of the tongue as well. Pardon me, but that's quite interesting. It's just interesting to see what adding fruit to the brew rather than bringing it out of the hops can really do. But the fruit character in this beer is really complex. With the tropical flavours, you've got grapefruit in there, as you would expect. There's a lot of passion fruit in there too, and you can taste that mixing in. Behind the very front curve of the tongue, you can feel that oily bubble where the hoppy characters come out. There's definitely passion fruit in there. I think there's a bit of apricots too, and maybe there's some juicier mangoes too. But that is definitely there. But the main, you can really feel the blood orange and the grapefruit flavour mixing together this one all around the edge of the tongue. That juicy character just blankets your palate. The orange character that you would normally expect from the Amarillo is quite hard to pick up as well. But yeah, you can pick up a little bit of it, but the passion fruit mixes in with it, and that juicy blood orange and grapefruit flavour almost masks it actually. You really have to pay attention to pick up that little bit of the flavour. I mean, overall, it's actually a very interesting IPA, and this really, BrewDog like to do things like this. They like to show you what doing different things with the brew will do to the beer. And the juicy fruity character, adding these different fruits to the beer, it really shows you what it can do to the mouthfeel. But it's a very full flavoured beer, and I have to admit, I do quite like it. The other beer I had, I remember having one which I think was called Garden of Eden by Toil, and they added a whole host of different tropical fruits to the beer, and it was really quite similar to this actually in terms of the mouthfeel. So it's quite an interesting thing to pick up on again after a while. That was quite a while ago that I reviewed that beer. But yeah, very, very nice beer this one, I have to admit. Not the same style as you like as the kind of trademark IPAs and double IPAs from BrewDog. It's something a little bit different, so be prepared for that if you try this beer. So yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel, this one, mid-bodied, quite smooth carbonation. There's a little bit of an oily mouthfeel to it, but at the same time it is quite wet, but there is a big juicy character to this one. As I say, those juicy fruits they come in and go all the way around the edge of the tongue. As you move into the aftertaste, you actually do start to get a little bit of floral aromatic dryness from the back corners of your palate, but overall this is quite a wet mouthfeel and quite a juicy one. There is a good little bit of hoppy bitterness there, that comes out in the aftertaste, you know, some floral aromaticity, maybe just a little bit of pine resin. And there is quite a smooth malt character to this one. There's not much sweetness from it. It is very smooth and more bready. But overall, like I say, it's another nice IPA from BrewDog. It's their trademark style. It's very rare that they get something wrong in this style, if you like. And, you know, this one is a bit different from the regular thing. So if you're wanting a more hop-forward IPA, you're probably better sticking to the likes of Jackhammer and Punk IPA and things like that. But if you like the idea of playing around and adding more ingredients to the brew, then this is one for you to try. I always quite like it when they experiment and add things like bog myrtle and all this sort of stuff to beers, but the fruit works equally well for me. So yeah, this is a really nice IPA from BrewDog. Very different from what they normally do, in fact, so it is worth trying to educate your palate a little bit as to how adding fruits to the beer can actually work. I think it works pretty well, and I've quite enjoyed it. It's a nice, quite light, sessionable IPA, but for this one you really do have to like your kind of tropical fruit flavours. It says it's a citrus IPA, but for me it is more of a kind of tropical fruit IPA, I would say. But nonetheless, very, very nice beer, I think. So yeah, another good effort from BrewDog, so do check this one out if you can get hold of it. It's a bit of an older beer, so I'm not sure how likely it is that you're going to find this one, but do check it out nonetheless. So as always, let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Always interesting to hear from you guys that are watching the videos. I thank you for watching them. Until the next one, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know where you're drinking this beer actually, and do go and check out my social media things and go and try some other BrewDog beer. So I hope you've enjoyed this review, and I will catch you soon with the next one. Many more BrewDog ones to review for you fairly soon. Slàinte just now.